Hey guys, so it's been exactly 1 week since these were all grafted. So what I'll do now is just crack the lid open, and I'll just show you the first step in how much I'll actually open it. First off, I'm going to take the lid off entirely and wipe the inside, the moisture down, which is something that I do every day, but I'll actually only open the tub about that much. Just a very small crack, and I'll leave it like that overnight, and then the next day we'll end up going just a little bit more, and then from there I'll then do half like that, just swap the lid around like that, and then from there one day later I take the lid off entirely, and then these guys will come out into the open. I don't know if you'll be able to see too well, but here they all are. Most of them are looking pretty good. There's very little discoloration around the graft site, bar a couple. But anywho's, we'll have a closer look once they're actually out of the tub. So we'll teleport forward about 4 days. Alright everyone, so here is tray number 1. Now I've had a close-up look at most of them and they all look pretty good. There was one failure, which I could tell quite clearly because it had completely shriveled and it looked terrible, so I just flicked it off and put the Pereskiopsis stock back into the rest of the plants. At this stage, however, it is still not possible a lot of the time to tell whether you have success or failure, because some scions and some seedlings will stay plump for a very long time, even if they've got no contact with the Pereskiopsis. So even if there's no union, it can still stay plump. Failures you can usually tell fairly early on, although there's some exceptions like what I just mentioned. But sometimes what will happen is it'll stay plump, and then all of a sudden, slowly over time, it'll start to shrivel down, and then when you flick it off, you realise that the bottom of the scion is completely dried out, so it just wasn't going to work. Some successes you can tell very easily, because even in a week in the humidity tub, the Pereskiopsis has already started feeding the scion. It's actually already started plumping up. Now another thing that I'm actually looking for with these is if that any of the soil is dry. There was a couple that were dry, so I just gave them a very quick water. I don't want the pots drying out at this stage, just want this Pereskiopsis to kick off as quickly as possible. I'll give you an example of one that I'm not too confident with, if I can find where the camera is. If you can see here, I don't know if that's working or not, that discoloration, the scion doesn't look too good. But I'll still definitely give it a go. Just leave it there for a week or so and see what happens. Discoloration can occur from bacteria or germs or whatever it is if you don't sterilise the blade properly. Minor discoloration will clear up most of the time, so it's not a big deal. Alright, so this is the third tray. So there was, I think I did 70 in this batch, and so far one has failed. I don't know what that percentage would be. So one failed, which isn't too bad. I'm pretty sure it was a Rebutia. I'm almost certain that it was, even though it was all shriveled up and a bit hard to tell what it was. It looked like a Rebutia to me. So at this point as well, we might see little pink bumps coming out of the Pereskiopsis. That will be new shoots coming up. For some reason, the second you cut Pereskiopsis, it decides that it wants to produce more shoots, which is a great quality to exploit when you're trying to produce lots of grafting stock. But when you've already grafted, it's a bit of a nuisance, because it can almost be, sort of every couple of days that you're actually having to go in and cut the shoots off. You don't want the shoots coming off. It'll draw nutrients away from the scion. And if you've grafted close to the areole, hang on 1 second, I've got like there, you'll see there's a chance that it'll grow and actually push the scion off. anyways, I'm going to put these guys into their home, and then I'll show you where they're resting. Alright, so the grafts have been moved into their little short stay accommodation where they'll stay for the next couple of days. So here they'll stay. It's under a table, and there's a curtain of 70% shade cloth, so when the afternoon sun comes in they don't get blasted. There's a little bit of ambient light from the back, and they'll stay here just for a few days just to settle in. And because they've come out of the tubs, they need a little bit longer just to acclimate to outside conditions. So under here I find there's a nice intermediate spot for them to have a rest. So they're all looking pretty good. From here I'll likely water these tomorrow and potentially daily, just depending on how hot it gets. Although the lower down in the greenhouse you go, generally the cooler it is and things don't dry out quite as fast, but I don't want these drying out for at least a week. So I'll keep them well watered for a week, and then they'll move up into Gen Pop. They'll move back in with the other plants. But anyway, so we'll leave them rest here for a bit, and then I will show you what's going on upstairs.